What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and hit Create Part Studio in Context. And what this is going to do is going to grab this and then throw it into a new Part Studio where we can start mucking around with it a bit more. So once you click it, you have to click the origin. It's the easiest thing. Just hit the origin with that little white circle there, then hit tick. And now we've got a ghost version of that frame we just made. We can up here, we can make it more solid or more invisible if we want. We just might just leave it there as it is. I'm going to align myself to the front of this. I'm going to sketch on the edge of this thing here. I'm just going to roughly draw in a square. It's not aligned to anything. I made sure that it wasn't lined up with anything. So it's just a square. It's free in the center. It doesn't have any attachments to anything else. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to go there to there. And we're going to make it 10 mil off that. And this one here, also 10 mil. Now, when we come to the workshop, this spacing is going to be determined by the draw runners we get. So we're just going to go with 10 mil for now as a placeholder. But this measurement will have to change. We're going to go 10 mil down there. And we're going to make this 110. Now we're going to extrude this. And we're going to use, where it says blind here, we're going to click on this and we're going to go up to face. And then what it wants us to do is click on a face so it knows what the end is. Now I want to go this front to back. So now I have a cube going front to back on our thing. I'm going to hit tick. And now I have this square in the middle of our job. And this square is the draw. So we go over here to the top here and it says sheet metal model. So we're going to click on that and we're going to click on this object here. And then what it's gone and divided this up into different surfaces and said, all right, well, every piece here is a piece of sheet metal. Now what we're going to do is tell it what surface we don't want to be there anymore. So we're going to go here to faces to exclude. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on that face and that face. Right? And so now we have a box which has two open sides to it. Now the next one we're going to do is tell it where the bends are. We want to bend it up on that edge, and on that edge. So what that's done is made a model for this. So if I go over here to this one here, we have the development of what this shape looks like. Now, as you know, having a sheet metal like this without any joins or anything like that will be pretty unstable. So what we got to do is we got to make some room to put in our flanges. So if I go and use the extrude tool, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to click on the very edge of this. And I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to click on the very edge of that one as well. Okay, you can see that it's actually taking away material from these two sides here. Now, one of the restrictions on sheet metal objects in this program is that you can only really take away stuff when it's still in sheet metal form. So it should automatically go to remove. Now we're going to take off 1 mil. And that's going to make a really little gap right there. Your thickness is 0.55 mil thick. And your bend radius is also 0.5 mil. Make sure you change these to this. It'll set it as default and you'll never have to change them again because we only ever use 0.55. But if you're making something thicker, you might want to change this. So now we have that little gap there, and we're going to go over here to this sheet metal option thing here and click that drop down menu, and we're going to hit flange. Now what a flange is the bit of metal that comes out that we can spot weld to. So I've clicked on that edge there, and I've clicked on that edge there, and if I roll around, you can see what's happened. They've just added in these two little flanges here that we can just put on the spot welder, and we can weld them up. So we have some options here. We can change the angle that it's bent at. We can change the alignments and stuff. Everything should work out fine for the default. The only thing we need to do is change this to 20 mil. And there you have your two flanges. Now what we need to do is put on a rolled edge on the top. We're going to go over here to our sheet metal options and we're going to go to hem. And we're going to go and click on 1, 2, 3 sides. Right? Now it's showing an error here. That's because it's folding into the center. So if I put it on the opposite direction, it's going to be folding out to the outside. Our inner radius is 2 mil and our total length is 10 mil. So you can see here that it puts on that teardrop edge to add strength to the outside of this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to once again come over here to flange, and we're going to put a flange on that edge, and that edge, and we're going to make them go out towards the outside. That's throwing up an error, so I'm going to put it on the outer edge. Still an error. So that error has just occurred because I messed up the timing a little bit there. I put my my hem on before I did this second flange. So make sure you just put the flange on before that. All I did was pick it up and then drop it in between here. So it changed the order, and then I was able to go back in there and it fixed itself. So to make this a little neater, I'm just going to go around with my extrude tool. I'm going to click on the top of this, and this one, and this one, and this one. We're going to make it go down to that face there. So it just goes down to the surface and gives us that a bit of extra room there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some relief holes. So when you're bending up sheet metal, you need to have some relief holes in these corners, otherwise you're going to end up with a bit of a problem. We're in Sketch. I've opened up the Development tab, and I've hit Sketch, and I've clicked on the surface of this here. So now I can zoom in and draw a 2 mil circle there. One there. And the same places down here. Now that I've got all those there, I'm going to hit tick, and then I'm going to extrude. I'm going to click on that drawing I just did, and it's going to select all the circles I just drew. And then I can just hit tick, and now we have little relief holes all the way around our job. And if we have a look at this drawing here, you can see that that hole there is now round in that corner there, which is exactly what we want. So that is our sheet metal drawer finished off. So now what we can do, select it and go over here and hit finish sheet metal model. And now that's done. So I can right click on this and go to properties and say draw. And our description is 510 by 490 by 0.55 sheet. I'm going to make that disappear. We've got to now draw on the inside edge here. So I'm over on the right. I'm clicked on that edge there, and I'm just going to draw a box like this. I'm going to use now this tool here, which is coincident, and I'm going to make click there, then click there. And that's going to make these edges the same size as our frame. So now I have this box sitting on here, the same size of our frame. I'm going to use the line tool, and I'm just going to quickly go around like this. Lines going corner to corner like this, not really measuring, just chucking them in. There we go. So now I'm going to go to the measurement tool. I'm going to go here and here, and I'm going to make that 45 degrees. And I want my measurement from... No, I'm going to make this measurement 30 mil. So what you see there is we got a small gap, and that means that it should give us some room for our welds, as long as you don't do too crazy welds, and we'll be able to put this in the right spot. And we're going to use this equals tool. I'm going to make that one equal to that one, that one equal to that one, and that one there as well. And then we just have to go around and make sure that these are all 45 degrees. So all those corners should be the same now. We're going to add in a circle just there. And it's going to be 3 mil. We'll make this circle 10 mil from the edge. And it's going to be 10 mil from that corner there. So now we're going to use, I'm going to click on these 4 squares here. It says linear pattern. I'm going to click on the circle. So I want 3 holes. I'm going to have it go 1, 2, 3 across. I also want to have another set. So I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to have this. I want it to come down this side. And I'm just eyeballing it, making sure it's somewhat in the middle. So I'm going to make this minus 300. And that should arrange those holes all in the right spot for us. And we're going to do the same thing on this side here. So I'm going to draw a hole. 3 mil. I'm going to dimension it. 10 mil back from there. 10 mil back from there. I'm going to use my linear pattern tool on that. This one's slightly different. I'm going to have to change that to 2. And this one to 3. And I've just eyeballed that, put it somewhat in the middle. So all these measurements are really rough. Mostly just to show you how to use that tool over there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and hit this sheet metal part thing again. But instead of using convert, we're going to use thicken. And we can now choose that drawing we just drew. That part as well. And that's going to make our sheet metal part. So make sure it thickens the right way. And now we have our side. So we're going to go down to part 2, here properties. Now this should be 300 by 350 by 0.55 sheet. Save. Okay. On the back of this, we're also going to need to have a square. It goes all the way across. We use a coincident tool. I'm going to click and just make it the same size as the back. So in this sketch, I'm going to draw another circle here. It's going to be 3 mil. I'm going to dimension this back to here, 10 mil. And from this side, we're going to have 35. I'm going to put another one in the center-ish. And one over this side again. And I'm going to use this horizontal line. Click on that. And that one. And that one. And that one. So they're all in line horizontally now. I'll dimension this one back to here. And that was 35. And I want this one to be in the center. So I come here and go, this is 350 long. I want it to be divided in half. So I use the slash symbol, then 2. And it's going to put it right in the middle for me. So those 3 in the right spot. So I'm going to draw a line now. I'm coming here until it's got the midpoint symbol, which is a line with a dot in the middle. I'm going to go across here. I'm going to have that line going straight across the middle of my job. Then I'm going to go over here and use the mirror tool. So the first thing you want to do is click the line you want to use as the mirror line. So that's that line we just drew. And entities to mirror, we're going to those 3 holes. So make sure that you're selecting the circle. And they'll get mirrored down the bottom there. So that's that done. Now we're going to want to have to do the same thing up the side here. So I'm going to draw a circle here. Three mil circle. I'm going to dimension it. 10 mil. 35. I'm going to use this one as the center. 3 mil. 3 mil. I'm going to use the vertical alignment tool. So now they're all vertically aligned. I'm going to use this one now. So all of those in the right spot now. I'm going to draw another line through the center. And once again, use the mirror tool. Click the center line. And click the circles, not the center of the circle. So now we have that drawing done. And we're going to go over here to our sheet metal model, thicken, and we're going to click Sketch 4. And that should turn into our back piece. So we go over here to part and go properties, back, should be 350 by 340, 0.55 HS, save. So that's all our thin sheet metal we're going to use. But on the front of this drawer, we need to put on a bit of checker plate to make it look nice. So we're going to sketch on that flange there. We're going to put in a big square like this. And I want it to be in line with the side. So if I use this coincidence tool and make sure it coincidences back to there, it's now in line. And I can make this one coincident to the bottom edge. And that edge there. In reality, you won't be able to get it this close to the edge. You'll have to have a little gap there. But that's okay. We can sort that out in the workshop. This top edge, I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to the dimension tool. I'm going to dimension back to the top of this flange. And I want it to be 20 mil bigger than there. I'm going to go over here to the sheet metal model thing again. I'm going to go to thicken. I'm going to choose that edge there. But this time, it's going to be a lot thicker. Now, checker plate is between, well, the checker plate we use is between 2 and 3 mil. depending on where you measure it with the checks on it. So we're just going to make it 3 mil thick. And that's going to be our drawer front. Right click, properties. $350 by 130 by 3. Check plate. Save. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to hit this button here and it says insert and go to assembly. And I'm going to click on all the parts that I want to have inserted, which is all the parts that I've just drawn. Click. And it's going to take us back to the assembly, and those parts have gone more or less where they're supposed to go. Although not entirely. Let's put them in the right spot. So we're going to pull this off. I'm going to pull this one off. We're going to use our fasten mate tool. I'm going to select that one up there. And I'm going to offset it along the Z axis by 0.55. I've chosen the center point and the top center point over here. I want the center point, not the circle. I hit the circle. I'm just going to offset that again. A negative, so it goes the right direction. There we go. So we can insert again another side. And I'm going to anchor this. To here. So, we have a little bit of a problem at the back here. This drawer is too long. So how do we fix it? Well, let's go back to Part Studio 2. And we're going to go back through our list here. And right back here at the beginning when we did this extrude, we went right to the back of this thing here. And what we can actually do is offset that distance a little bit. So if I just click that, it automatically puts it back 25 mil. I'm going to make it 15 mil. And that's just fixed that problem for us. So this thing's just going to think, it's going to update everything we've done, and now that thing's back there. So if I go back to my assembly, it's no longer poking through the back. Quite often, when you get to this stage and you're starting to put things together, you start seeing problems, and you can just go, oh, well, I'll go back and I'll fix that thing up, and then the problem just goes away.